Timo, welcome to the show. Welcome to Built Resilient. I am fired up today. It is going to be a cracker of an episode. It is a question and answer episode. We're answering questions written in from listeners and viewers just like you. Questions to level up your physical, mental, emotional health, and questions that will hopefully make this world a better place. If you are here for the first time, hey, welcome. It's so good to have you in the family, good to have you in the community. My name is Bart Walsh. I'm a speaker. I'm a fitness nerd. I also have a compulsion to help people in any way possible. So thanks for tuning in today. Remember to subscribe. Hit the subscribe on YouTube, on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, wherever you're listening or watching this thing. And hey, let's build this snowball. Let's get this resilience message out more. As mentioned, we are talking about questions and answers today. We're talking a bit more about physical health, which I still think is the foundation for both our emotional, our mental, and our relational health. The stronger body we have, the more mental stress, the more emotional load that we can take on. So we're going to take that angle today. But first, we're going to open today's episode with a brand new segment. Let me know the feedback about this. I want to know if you like it or not. I'll either cut it or keep it in depending on your feedback. So team, without further ado, let's dive into the first segment. This segment is called The Modern Stoic.
The Modern Stoic.
In this segment, we look at quotes from Stoic philosophers of the past and bring their relevance into today's world. And today we're starting none other than with Seneca. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. Sometimes I wonder with these philosophers whether they were just so smart that they could predict the future, or if the same problems we have in 2025 were the same existential problems they had back then. Because I feel like this quote is talking to solitude and it's talking to loneliness, particularly in this digital world that we live in. Because let's face it, we are in a loneliness epidemic. It's a quiet one. It's a festering one, but it's one that's becoming more apparent, and particularly apparent on our health, physical and mental. And it's weird because we are living in the most connected time, quote unquote connected time in our humanity. We can reach someone from the furthest parts of the world within an instant through a device in our hand. Existentially, this is an absolutely incredible and crazy thing. And the funny thing is that we're getting so tied up in this digital world as we become more AI that we're looking for solutions to our loneliness and our mental health problems with more tech and with more AI, and it doesn't make sense. Because the solution to all of our mental health, our emotional health, our loneliness is within. It's in us. And as we become more technical, I feel like we're becoming more disconnected with what it means to be human. We're not listening to what our body is telling us. We're actively doing things that are working against our health, be it with our solitary or sedentary lifestyles, be it with the nutrition, the poor nutrition we put into our body, or even the poor way we interact online or the poor relationships that we have. In some instances, we know these things are bad for us, but for whatever reason, we can't stop them. And so back to the quote here. Nowhere can man find a quieter or more untroubled retreat than in his own soul. If you are struggling with mental health issues, with the noise of this modern world, and often you don't know what that noise is. You feel like that noise is just in your head buttering up the works. If you're struggling with this, the way out is to look inwards. The way out isn't to dive into another streaming service. It's not to distract yourself with social media. It's about putting that aside, which is what I think Seneca is alluding to. It's about putting it aside and taking time in stillness and quiet moments to find out what's happening in here and to find out what's happening in here. And the way to do that, it seems so petty, and every time I bring it up, I always question whether or not I should be saying this again, but journaling, but doing meditation, but having moments in your day without distraction. And it's frustrating and it's hard. I know, I've been there. But we need to get better at it. And the more we can start listening to what our body and what our mind is saying, the more we can move out of this comfort crisis that I think that we're in, and the more that we can find the retreat, the stillness. And I do believe, like Seneca, it is sitting within our soul, whichever part of the body that may be. And now what do you think? How does this quote feel to you? What does this quote say to you? Does it resonate? Is it completely irrelevant? Is Seneca writing and predicting the future, or is he just reflecting what's happening in his time and it just happens to be happening in our time too? I want to know. All right. Question number 1.
I'm in my late 40s and I've been told weight training is the number one thing I can do for longevity. But honestly, I feel like I'm too late to start. Am I past the point of making real changes?
All right, let me just speak out loud to work this one out. You're in your late 40s, heading into your 50s, the golden years, not that I've been there. And you've been told that weight training is the number one thing you can do for longevity. Great, big tick. Nutrition plays a big role, so does stress management, but let's focus on this. I feel like I'm too late to start. Am I past the point of making real changes? Straight down the barrel of the camera for this one, no. It is never too late to start, particularly when it comes to weight training. Particularly when it comes to weight training and not just you getting stronger, but weight training affecting every other aspect of your life. Look, weight training, muscle mass, the nervous system function is a key contributor to longevity, absolutely. But it's also a key contributor to your quality of life in the moment, because anyone who's found the evangelistic fitness light of getting stronger and lifting weights, you can feel this. Mentally, after you lift something heavy, man, you can take on the world. You can run through walls. You can lift cars off of babies. You can do anything. And so, yes, it's ticking your box for longevity, but it does so much more than that. And so let's talk about muscle for a second. I believe that muscle mass is your longevity currency. Metabolically, it improves how we manage glucose within our body, which has a big deterrent towards metabolic diseases such as diabetes. But it's more than that. It reduces your fall risk. It can actually boost your metabolism, meaning that you can actually probably eat a little bit more food and allow it to work for you and not against you, improving perhaps your quality of life. But it also protects your bones. I witnessed a wonderful presentation at SwimCon 25 a few weeks ago, and it was all about amenorrhea and women's health and just how bone density plays a role in athletics performance. In this instance, we're talking specifically about swimmers, but also quality of life. And so we don't often think about our bones as being something that will aid in our quality of life, but it does. And strength training is the best way to increase that bone density. It's not just about calcium, it's about sending a signal to your body to make your bones stronger. And as you get older, stronger bones means if you do have a slip or you do have a fall, the less likely you are to have ongoing effects as a result of that. And remember that your body will always adapt as you age. And look, studies on people in their 70s and 80s have seen positive impacts or positive adaptations to strength training, both size and function of the muscle. So you're decades ahead of that. So if you're going into your 50s, you've got a long time to adapt up until that point. Someone mentioned to me many, many years ago that a heart attack happens in an instant, but the start of that heart attack happened 10 years ago. So if you're going to prevent that moment of chaos, it takes a long time. And the sooner you can start, the better. And hey, I want you to start small, all right? And I know it's really, really surface advice, but I need you to start small, particularly if you've never weight trained before, because any lifting of a weight is progress. That's more than you did last week. And that means you're going to get stronger because of that 1 rep or that 2 reps that you do. So start small and think about trying to achieve the minimal effective dose. How little do you need to do to see adaptation? Because we can always add more on, particularly if that dose is very, very small. So I want you to think long term. You know, it's not a quick fix. It's not like you can do one strength training session and you'll get all of the benefits of longevity and quality of life and muscle mass and metabolic function. It needs to be consistent. And so if you've been to the gym before and you've struggled to stick with it or stick with it, even once a week will go a long way. Hey, even once a fortnight might even be a starting point for you. So let me sum up here. Are you past the point of making real changes? Hell to the no. Start now. Even if you are 70 or 80, you can see positive benefits from strength training. Hey, you might need someone to help you out, and I'll encourage you, if you've never lifted weights before, to get a trainer or get someone who can show you how to do it properly. But there's no age that's too late to start. I want you to start slow, and I want you to focus on quality movement, and I want you to focus on the minimal effective dose. And this message, that framework is the same for anyone who's never lifted weights before. I want you to start small. I want you to get someone to show you how to do it. And I want you to think of this as a long-term fix rather than just a short-term band-aid. Question number 2.
When I'm stressed, I usually skip the gym because I think it'll make me feel worse. But I've also heard stress and exercise are connected. Should I train when I'm under pressure, or should I rest?
Okay, firstly, I want you to have a listen to last week's episode about chronic stress. We talked a lot about how exercise on top of chronic stress might not be the best thing for you, but a lower intensity exercise may be the thing that works you through that stress and aids you and doesn't work against you. The second thing I want to say, and something that I want to be on all of the loudspeakers in the world, if you are chronically stressed, doing high intensity exercise will only make you more stressed. So exercise has a two-way street. It's polarizing. It is a stressor. It can be a positive stressor, but it can also be a release. And in this instance, that release could be a negative stress. Stress plus stress does not equal better results. Stress plus stress equals burnout. So if you're stressed and you know you have a workout coming out, I don't want you to skip it. I just want you to bring down the intensity. And so if you're planning a strength training session, that means I want you to dial back the weights a little bit, or dial back the reps a little bit, or dial back the sets a little bit. Don't do your normal workout, but do enough to get the blood flowing a little bit and send a small but acute signal to the body. So just to reiterate here, exercise in a stressed state can be a stress reliever, but it can also be a double-edged sword. It can make you even more stressed after the fact, particularly if the intensity is too high. If you're stressed, do a workout that's high intensity, you're going to feel great in the moment. You're going to feel unstoppable. You're going to feel like you can run through anything. But once the cortisol from that workout starts to drop down, you're going to be in a state where you need more recovery. You've dug your hole even deeper. I had a client, I've had many clients in the past few years where they were executives. They were burning the candle at both ends. They had family at home. They were a boss, literally and figuratively, in the workplace. And all they wanted to do with their exercise was be thrashed because that was their outlet. Unbeknownst to them, they're just digging their stress hole even more. Yep, in the moment, they're getting what they want. They're getting the stress relief, but they're making every other aspect of their life harder because they're digging that stress hole. So I want you to match the workout to your stress load. I call it modulating your intensity. And if you can understand how to modulate your intensity with your workouts and with the workout that's in front of you, this is where the magic is. If you're a CrossFitter or a hybrid athlete, and you see a workout that's like 45 minutes long, an hour long, if you learn how to conserve your energy at the start, put the pedal down when you need to put the pedal down, but modulate your intensity throughout the workout, you're going to get better gains, you're going to get more fitness. And it's the same with a stressed state. So if you recognize you're stressed going into a workout, just dial back the intensity. This is why I love my Whoop. Not that this is an ad of any sort, but I've had my Whoop for about 5 years, and it tells me from a nervous system point of view how recovered I am, how stressed I am. So I can go into a workout, have a look at an objective measure of my recovery, and then modulate the intensity of that workout depending on that recovery. If it tells me I've had a poor night's sleep, hey, I'm not going to do the 1 RM. That's not going to work against me. Number one, I probably won't get the 1 rep max. And number two, I'm just going to add more stress to recover from. So I love tools like this that will help you modulate your intensity and give you an objective measure. And so I want to reiterate something here. I don't want you to skip the training. Movement can work if we're at the right intensity. So if you're stressed, you know you've got a workout coming up, just lower the intensity a little bit. Don't skip the session, particularly if you struggle with accountability. And particularly if you struggle with consistency in the gym. I want you to keep the ritual. But look, thank you for asking this question. This is something that a lot of people have probably encountered at some point in their life, but something that we don't often talk about. So everyone out there, monitor your stress levels. If you know you've got a big gym session coming up and you've been under the pump all day at work, consider dialing back some variables, changing the intensity, and allowing that session to work with your stress levels, your current stress levels, and not against it. All right, let's move into question number 3.
I struggle with feeling like I'm not good enough, as a parent, at work, even in the gym. Do you have any strategies for building confidence that actually lasts?
The old inadequacy question. I struggle with this quite a bit, and not necessarily with confidence, but it's more got to do with my self-worth. And if I don't focus on finding small wins in my day and convincing myself that, hey, I am worthy of a podcast, I am worthy of stepping up onto a stage, I am worthy of giving out fitness programs, if I don't constantly work on that, my performance drops and my self-confidence and my motivation drops too. And I'm sure a lot of you out there can relate. So I want to give you 4 little tips. And if you wind back the clock to, I think, the very first episode of this podcast, we talked about confidence. These tips are based upon that. The first is to give yourself small wins. Confidence comes from evidence that you show yourself, and it happens over time. So I want you to notice times in your day where you've done something great, or times in your life when you've done something great. And I either want you to acknowledge yourself for it or reward yourself for it. Here is something really weird that I do, and I do it far too often, but as vain as it sounds, it works. I'll often step into a bathroom, look in the mirror, and if I know I've done something right, I'll say, hey, you did that. I will literally say it out loud. I'll look into my eyes. It's really awkward. I'll say, hey, you did that. Well done. And the feeling I get, I can almost feel the serotonin or the oxytocin just coursing throughout my body because I took that moment. And that might be something that you do too. But whatever way you acknowledge yourself, I want you to find a way to give yourself evidence that you are worthy. Step into the mirror, write it down, just take a moment, reward yourself with something. But these small wins, they stack up over time. And you keep doing these small wins long enough and mentally keep acknowledging yourself for it, and your brain will change. The way your brain wires, it will change because you're reinforcing this positive neural recruitment. And then I want you to detach performance from your identity. You are not your last workout. You are not your last meeting or your last parenting moment. Resilience is learning to love yourself even when you mess up. You are gonna fail, but you are not the result of that failure. You are in essence, but you are not a failure because you failed. So I want you to detach. Tongue twister. I want you to detach your performance from your identity. Identify with something else. And then I want you to weave in your values and then avoid comparison at the same time. What am I living my life for? What are my values? What do I stand for? I'm a firm believer that you standing up for what you believe in times when no one's watching will determine how you show up in life. I believe in how you do anything is how you do everything, particularly when the doors are closed, particularly when no one's watching. If you can hold yourself to your values with self-accountability and not expecting anyone to say, hey, well done, that is going to forge a path for you. And all of a sudden you become very clear about who you hang out with according to your values. You become very clear with what you put your energy to because it aligns with your values, because you've built the accountability behind closed doors to develop your value system. And then lastly, I want you to practice recovery. And I don't want you to think that this is a perfect process, because when you do fall down, I want you to get back up. When you stumble, I want you to get back up at the same speed you stumbled down on. All right? Remember to pick yourself back up. Here's a little summary. I want you to stack your wins. Make them small, but make sure you acknowledge them. I want you to detach your performance from your identity. I then want you to anchor in your values. What do you stand for, particularly when no one's watching? And lastly, when you do fall, I want you to pick yourself back up at the same speed. You do these 4 things, and you will not have an identity crisis. But don't get me wrong, it's not a set and forget. This is a constant process, as I imagined. Confidence, belief in yourself, self-worth, it's a constant management process. And it requires doing these 4 things on a very consistent basis. Thank you for listening, team. Man, I'm fired up after that episode. I've been fired up all day. Might have been the 4 coffees that I've had, but I'm ready to rumble. Thank you for listening. I hope you took something away from today's episode, whether it's about confidence, whether it's about modern stoicism, whether it's about physical health. If you've took something away, I want you to give the show a 5-star rating on Apple, on Spotify. Really boost us up this algorithm. I'm chasing Mel Robbins. She's at number 1 on the charts, and I want to get there someday. It's going to take a few years, but I need your help to get there. So any 5-star rating, any review, any share, any like means, man, It means a lot to me. So thank you very much. If you do have a question for a show like this, you, my friend, can write in hello@bartwalsh.com.au. Send me your wins, send me your questions, send me whatever you want, and hopefully we can answer your questions and level you up on an episode just like this. Team, have an exceptional morning, afternoon, or evening, and I will see you in the next episode. Remember to choose resilience.